What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live video. Today we're going over the brand Despia combo videos. This is going to be the Aluber plus 1 card discard. You can do pretty much the same thing with the brand Infusion, but chances are you're not going to be seeing brand Infusion unless you're using the Aluber. Therefore, we're going to be showing you off the Aluber combo. So, you start off with Aluber and 1 card in the hand. You just have to have the discard for the Lubellion. It can be really whatever. Depending on what your discard is, the combo only gets better. So we're going to normal summon with the copy of Aluber. Activating effect, switching for a copy of the brand Infusion. I'll just put that up there so we have room for spell and traps. Then we can activate the copy of Brand Infusion. We're going to send a copy of the Lubellion and a copy of the Albaz. So the reason why you have to send the Lubellion here is because we want to have access to Branded Lost. You have no way to reborn out the Cartesia, but if you did have a way to reborn out the Cartesia, then obviously you could send a different card, or if you already had the Lubellion or Lost in the hand, you obviously would send that instead. So we're going to be dumping here, going up for a copy of our Albion. Albion can activate the effect. This is also in the graveyard. It's going to activate the effect, banishing the copy of the Aluber alongside the copy of Albaz. This can allow us to go up into a copy of the Lubellion here, and then you're going to be activating the effect, making the discard. So you're going to discard one random card here or in your hand. We're going to go for the combo. We're going to be discarding a copy of Albaz, just so I can show you guys what you want to be setting. So send a copy of Albaz to the graveyard to activate the effect to fuse. We're going to be fusing back the Lubellion as well as the Albion to go up into a copy of the Mirror Jade. So now you can go Lubellion, tag itself out for the Albion, putting it in the graveyard so you can activate the effect. You can then activate the effect here on the field, placing a copy of Branded Lost. Now we won't be triggering Branded Lost this turn because we won't be able to fusion summon once again because we don't have any other combos. It's just the variation of the 1 card Aluber combo. We can move to the end phase here and we're going to activate the Albion, sending the copy of Branded in red. So now we have Branded in red, pardon me, being able to target the copy of Albaz in the graveyard, which is why I said that we should have a discard. Which is why we're using the Albaz, so we can set the copy of Branded in red. We have a Mirror Jade, which can send something else. You can send a copy of the Rinbrum, so that if you do get this outed, you can actually activate the Rinbrum effect, summon out the copy of Albaz, use another card, discard, to go up into one of their monsters there. You activate Branded Lost, and then you sell the Branded red, target the Albaz if it doesn't get banished or left in the field some kind of way. Now, there's different variations of this combo that you can do, obviously, with different cards in your hand, but this is just the basic 1-card Aluber combo. This is going to be the same combo with Aluber as well as 1 discard. We're going to be saying it's a copy of Albaz once again, and then a copy of the Fusion Deployment. This is going to let you be able to play through imperms, stuff like that. Also being able to sum up the Cartesia, letting you play as well a little bit differently here. So we're going to start off with a copy of Fusion Deployment. We're going to reveal our copy of the Granganol from the extra deck, and that's going to let us summon out a copy of Cartesia from the deck. So now our plays are kind of avoided from the imperm. If our opponent has 2 imperms, they might just hit it here, or they're going to be normally hitting it on the normal summon of the guy. So then we're going to normal summon the copy of the Aluber here, activating the effect. If they do chain imperm, that's fine. It's going to be kind of beneficial because we can chain out into the Cartesia. Now if they don't chain imperm here, Cartesia will be able to be fused later with Lost, which can get us another plus there. So it's kind of depending on what they have in their hand or how they want to stop it. So we're going to activate the effect of the Aluber, switching for a copy of the Brand Infusion. We now can activate the Brand Infusion. We're going to be using the copy of Albaz in the deck, as well as a copy of the Lubellion. Like we mentioned earlier, we don't have access. We already have access to the Cartesia, so we're not going to be necessarily needing to do that there, to dump it there. We want to have access to Lost here in the grind game as well. So we're going to go effect of Albion. We're going to use a copy of the Solemn Albaz, as well as a copy of the Aluber. This is going to allow us to go up into the copy of, once again, the Lubellion here. Then we're going to activate the effect of Lubellion, discarding the Albaz in our hand, or the blank card, depending on which one it is. But the Albaz lets us play a little bit more. It could also be a copy of Tragedy, it could be a copy of, another Aluber, depending on whatever you want. We're going to be putting back the copy of Lubellion and the copy of Albaz from the Banish Zone to go up into a copy of the Mirror Jade. We're then going to tag out the Lubellion for the copy of the Albion here. And then we're going to activate the effect, placing the Lost on the field. And then we can go Cartesia fused with the Lubellion to go up into a copy of the Granganol. Now our opponent cannot respond here, so we can go Granganol 1, Lost 2. Lost, search us either for a copy of Mercurier or a copy of the Albion. And then we're going to be dumping from the extra deck or the main deck, depending on which one you want. You can dump a copy of Gaming Puppet Nightmare, because we do have the access to the Gaming Puppet lock here, or you can dump whatever else if you don't want to play the Gaming Puppet lock. Now you can dump a copy of Ad Libitum if you're playing it. You can dump a copy of the Titaniclad, summon out a Quem if you want. It's really up to you. There's different variations of the deck depending on how you want to play. But we're going to search for a copy of Mercurier here, and then we're going to dump the copy of Gaming Puppet Nightmare. So now we have Mercurier in the hand, which is going to be a form of Monster Gate. So now Bistils can't necessarily hurt us unless they have 2 copies of it. We then can move to the end phase here. We're going to be seeing the Albion going to be setting a copy of the branded in red to our field. And then Cartesia will be adding herself back to the hand. So now we have Albion, which set the copy of branded in red. It can set a copy of opening as well if you have like branded red already in hand. But you have access to a copy, like we pass turn here. And then if our opponent has nothing in the draw phase, obviously not if you're playing against Gaming Puppet, you normally want to wait until your opponent kind of commits something to the board. But just in case, like, they can normal summon, let's say a Snake Eyes Ash, activate the effect. You chain branded in red here, and then you can go branded in red, going to be targeting the Albaz, adding the Albaz back to hand here. You then fuse with the Albaz and the copy of the Cartesia that's in your hand, putting them back in the banished. Summon a copy of the Sanctifier here. And then you can go Albion effect, targeting the copy of the Gaming Puppet as well as a copy of the Albion. Now, if you had any other good cards in the graveyard, you could obviously target them as well. You can't target the Llewellyn here, but then you just give your opponent the Gaming Puppet Nightmare as well as your copy of the Albion, and now your opponent is Gaming Puppet locked and they can't kind of continue playing the game. Now, during your turn, you obviously will be having a draw for turn, but you just put these guys in attack. You also get to search off branded loss as well, which search for a copy of the Albion here. But, like, no matter what you kind of do, we also draw a card. If they have any other monster gates, you obviously had Mercurier. You could have Mercurier the copy of Snake Eyes Ash if you wanted to. But, like, no matter what they do here, you're going to be essentially winning the game. If they did have, let's say they summon up Snake Eyes Ash to activate the effect, you go to Poplar, you tag out for the Granganol, you summon out a copy of Quem, and you're cooking once again. So stuff like that, that your opponent just can't really play. And that's like a 2-card combo there that also plays through Imperm, which is quite nice. This is going to be the High Spirits combo. It does pair the best with a copy of Sornier, but there's different variations you can do as well. But we're going to be starting off with this High Spirits. This is the only 2 cards we have in hand, let's say. We're going to activate High Spirits. You can have either the copy of the Titaniclad or the copy of Albion. Normally we do the Titaniclad for this combo because we are going to have access to Brand Infusion. Now this does lose to DD Crow, which a lot of the deck does lose to, but just important to note. So we're going to send the copy of the Titaniclad to the graveyard here. Then we're going to also send the copy of the Sornier to search for a copy of the Albion. It does mention Albaz and it's great in its name. You can also go for a very different variation where you search for the Cartesia, depending on what you have in the hand. But this is going to be just the, the 2 cards. Search for a copy of Albaz or Albion here. Then we're going to activate the Sornier effect in the graveyard. Now you can dump either the copy of Branded Fusion or the Branded Retribution, depending on which one you want. Both of them are going to get to the graveyard because we're going to be doing the next steps, going to be sending off the Albion. So Sornier is going to be dumping the copy of Branded Retribution. Now we do activate the Albion, the Shrouded Dragon, sending for cost, sending a copy of the Branded Fusion. We're going to put it back in the deck to draw 1 card. We're going to be saying it's a blank. We're going to be saying it's a copy of Albaz once again. This is facilitate the combo. Now we can banish the copy of Retribution to add back the Branded Fusion to the hand, and we can activate the Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is going to be sending a copy of the Albaz. What am I saying? The Albion for the Albaz as well as the Lebellion to go up into a copy of the Albion. Now we're not sending the copy of the Cartesia here. We're sending the copy of the Lebellion, like I mentioned earlier, especially in this combo because we do have the Titaniclad in the graveyard, which can summon out a copy of Quem, which then can give us access to the Cartesia during our opponent's turn. So we're going to activate the effect of the Albion, and we have the copy of an Albaz in the graveyard, as well as a free dark being Sornier. We're not going to be needing it in the grind game, therefore we can banish it quite freely. Going up into the copy of the Lebellion. So now Lebellion is going to activate the effect. We're going to be discarding that copy of Albaz that we drew off the Albion earlier, or any other discard. Now I mentioned like Albaz is probably one of the better ones because it is going to be able to interact with the copy of Quem, which is going to be in the graveyard or on the field later. For the copy of Titaniclad, as well as going to be able to use for Branded and Red. So we're going to be using that, and we're going to be shuffling back the Albaz as well as the Lebellion to go up into a copy of our wonderful Mirror Jade. So here, it's an open game state. We're no longer doing combos. We can then Lebellion tag out into a copy of the Albion. Activate the effect once again, placing a copy of the Branded Loss onto the field. And then we can just move to the end phase. So we have 2 graveyard effects in the end phase here, being the Titaniclad as well as the copy of Albion. It does not matter which one we use first. We're going to activate the Albion here, set the copy of Branded in red from the deck. And then we can activate the copy of Titaniclad as well, going to be able to summon out a copy of the Quem. Quem could then dump the copy of the Cartesia from the deck. And then you have the option to add it back to the hand if you want to. Now, in some variations you want to do that, in others you don't. Depending on what you're kind of playing against. Now, Quem can actually summon out the copy of Cartesia, which can then be used to make different stuff on the field. No matter what, you are Gaming Puppet locking your opponent. So it doesn't really necessarily matter that way. Like, you know, we can add this back to the hand. And then we can go like branded in red during our opponent's turn, target the copy of the Albaz, and then fuse away. Or, you know, even in this case, we could have sent the copy of Cartesia, and you actually, so you here you go Titaniclad first, dump the copy of the Cartesia, and then you go branded or Albion, add this to the hand, activate this, and then like you use this, and like it doesn't really matter what you use. You want to like use two bodies. You can use this if you want to, but like you can just go up different stuff depending on what you have. That's like the purpose of the deck, you know, just being able to do so many different things. But like it's ultimately up to you. Like, if you want to go up for a copy of the Despia, you can. If you want to go for a copy of like, I guess you can't go for Boral, but like stuff like that. Like you can just go if you want to write into a Sanctifier. You could if you already had dumped the copy of the Gaming Puppet, maybe off the copy of the Rebellion. There's just different variations of the combo you can do. Like normally I would just do that and I'd add the Cartesia back to the hand. And then like during my opponent's turn, I go branded in red after I use a copy of Mirror Jade. Or, you know, there's so many stuff you can do. Like you can even just go here like Mirror Jade, activate the effect, send a copy of the Rinbrum, banish. This is going to be activating the effect, summon back the Cartesia during your end phase. Then you can activate the effect if you want to. You can fuse these two away to go up into a copy of the Granganol. Granganol can then dump the copy of the Gaming Puppet. You also get to search for a copy of Mercurier here because you are under Lost. And then you can go like during your opponent's turn, you can go branded in red, add back the Albaz, use the copy of the Quem. Now normally you'd probably add back the Cartesia there. Then using both of these here to banish. Let's go into your puppet lock. And then you can just go like Sanctifier, Quem, summon back this, and then like you can summon out these two here to your opponent. And then like you have like so much resources here, like no matter what you want to do. Like if you had to use your copy of Mercurier during your opponent's or during your turn, you're gonna bring that back instead of a copy of the Albion there. Really like whatever you want to do here, you can just do it. You have so many different combos lines you can do. Lost will then trigger being able to, you know, add back a copy of Albion. The deck is just like, once you understand like what the cards do, the combo line just kind of like smear together, and then you just play with what you have. So this is going to be a bigger combo with no, it has Sanctifier lock as well, with like without having access to Quem or Cartesia. So we have either the Aluber, a copy of Brand Infusion, and then a copy of the Lubellion. You know, for this one, we're going to be saying we have only the Aluber here, going to be, so we have to use our normal summon. So we're going to be going normal summon, activate the effect of Aluber, searching for a copy of the Branded Fusion. And then we are going to activate the copy of Lubellion, going to be going, this is going to be like a different variation of the combo. We're not going to go for the regular stuff. We're going to go for something completely different. So we're going to search for a copy of the Sorenir, and then we're going to activate the copy of Brand Infusion, sending the copy of Albaz and the copy of Mercurier. So this is going to allow us to go up into the copy of the Rinbrum here. You can go for the copy of the Lubellion if you want to as well, just get the Mercurier in the graveyard. But in this case, we're going to be showing you guys the power of the Rinbrum on the field as a negate for the extra deck monster. So you might be wondering when this is going to be coming up. This is good against like a bunch of different decks. If you're playing against like the Ubel deck, being able to bounce the card to the extra deck. It doesn't have to also affect cards that are on the field. It can be the cards, extra deck cards in the graveyard as well. So going up against Branded in the end phase, can you be able to negate those effects and then bounce a card? Can bounce like the Quem on their side of the field, can be quite nice. But we're going to make the copy of the Rinbrum here. Then we can go Sorenir, banish the copy of Mercurier. This is going to give us access to the Lost as well as the search off the Mercurier here, giving us a search for a copy of the Cartesia. So this is how you get access to your Cartesia here. We then tribute off the Sorenir for a copy of the Rebellion. We're going to activate the Sorenir effect and then the copy of Retribution to the graveyard. We then activate the effect, placing the copy of Lost on the field. And we have lots of different stuff we can do here. So we can go the Cartesia because the Albaz is still in the graveyard because we did not send it anywhere with the copy of Lubellion or Albion. So we can summon itself out. We can activate the effect. We have options we can fuse. If you really want the Rinbrum in the graveyard, now the Albaz will most likely be gone during this combo with the Branded in red that we end up using. You can use the Rinbrum, but in this case, we're going to put the Aluber in the graveyard just because it has a better effect. Also more implication with Branded in red. This can allow us to go up into the copy of the Granganol. Granganol can activate the effect, dumping a copy of the Albion here. So we're not dumping Gaming Puppet because you don't want to be Gaming Puppeting during this turn, you're going to be able to send it with the second Granganol that we end up making here, which is important to note. And then you search with Lost. We're going to be searching for a copy of the Albion here, which is going to let us activate the effect Sending for cost. We can send a copy of Branded Opening, and then we just draw one card. So now we have one unknown. We have four of the cards, or three of the cards in the hand if we had the copy of the Aluber. Now, if you have any of these cards here, like I mentioned earlier, this is all access without Cartesia. This gives you access through the copy of Quem. This obviously summons up the Cartesia. So if you have these two cards in the hand, obviously the combo does change, and you can go for a better combo than that. But here we can activate the Retribution, banishing itself to add back the copy of Branded Opening. We can activate the Branded Opening, sending that copy of the random card from the hand to the graveyard, to summon up the copy of the Quem. Quem can then activate the effect, dumping another copy of the Cartesia here, just so that we have different variations that we can use during the end phase this turn. We don't necessarily really need it. But yeah, so here we're going to be going to the end phase. We're going to be seeing the Cartesia add itself back to the hand. And then we're going to be seeing the copy of the Albion, going to be setting a copy of Branded in Red from the deck. And then we just pass turn on this. So now our opponent draws. We can go during the standby phase or the draw phase on the next turn. We can go for the Branded in Red, target the copy of the Albaz. We add it to the hand, and then we can fuse. So we're going to be fusing the copy of the Granganol as well as the copy of the Albaz or the copy of Cartesia in our hand, depending on what you really want to go for. We're going to be banishing those to go up into the copy of the Sanctifier. Now that we have Sanctifier on the field, we are going to be able to also start chain blocking because we also have a copy of Branded Lost. So we have the first, part of it, the Gimmick Puppet lock, but we don't have the Gimmick Puppet in the graveyard yet. So here we're going to go, Chainlink 1 is going to be the copy of Lost. Chainlink 2 is going to be the copy of the Quem. Quem's going to target that copy of Cartesia that we sent, which is why it's important to send the second copy off the copy of Quem. So here we're going to be summoning out the copy of the Cartesia, and we're going to add a copy of Mercurier. So now once again we have a hand trap in our hand to be able to stop that. We have two Albaz fusions on the field. And then on resolution, we can activate the effect of Cartesia, fusing away. We use the Granganol as well as the copy of herself to go up into the second copy of Granganol. Granganol is then going to activate the effect, sending the copy of the Gimmick Puppet from the deck to the graveyard. And now, in the state, we can go Albion effect, target the copy of Gimmick Puppet as well as the Aluber, summon itself out, giving our opponent a copy of the Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, and then Aluber can activate the effect, searching for either a copy of High Spirits or your copy of Branded in Red. So you have two different options here. You can either search one or the other. You don't have a Branded in Red target in the graveyard just yet, but you have the copy of Cartesia that's going to add itself back, and then you have the copy of High Spirits if you want to add instead. No matter what you want to be doing here, you have insane amount of follow-up. The only problem is you need to find a way to fuse. So that's going to be kind of the issue. But if your opponent can't special summon anymore, you just put all these to attack position, and then chances are you can be able to beat over the Gimmick Puppet. You have it's 2,000 defense, so you just go Rinbrum attack into it, and then you have more than enough for game, and that's just to be game on board with a monster negate as well. So important to note that that's going to be kind of how you get to different game states without having access to the Cartesia through just random hands with the Rebellion as well as a copy of Branded Fusion or the Aluber. So this is going to be a 2-card combo alongside Albion and High Spirits. This can be one of the worst combos, but just what you can do with these two cards here. So we're going to go activate the effect of Albion here, sending for cost a copy of the Albaz to the graveyard. Then we can chain the copy of High Spirits, sending the copy, well I guess we have to reveal. We're going to reveal a copy of the Titaniclad, sending this to search for a copy of Cartesia. We also have to dump the Titaniclad here. Then the Albion is going to resolve, putting itself to the bottom of the deck. We are not going to get a draw because of the fact that the Albion was in the graveyard at the time of resolution, therefore we're not going to get the draw. But we can go especially out the copy of Cartesia. Now this is where the different variations of the combo can arise. Now if all we had in hand was those two cards, we would be able to go for the end phase effect of the Titaniclad, summon with the copy of the Quem, and then go for a different combo there. But in this case here, we have three other cards in the hand. So with any combination of any of these, which are every single monster card in your deck. This can also be a copy of the Rebellion it does not matter. We can show you guys different variations. So the only one that's going to really not do much of a difference is going to be the Giving Puppet Nightmare, because we're not going to be puppet locking our opponent in this case. But if we would have had a copy of Tragedy, we got to search for a copy of the Aluber. Remember, we haven't normal summoned. If we had the Aluber, we're going to be able to normal summon and get the effect. If we have the Sword near, we're going to dump another copy of a Bestial, or a brand that's Spell and Trap, being the copy of the Retribution, which can then add it back. If it's the Mercurier here, it doesn't really matter. So like we have, obviously if it's an Albaz, we're going to be having different targets. So we're going to be using one of these two here. We're just going to go for the Giving Puppet Nightmare in this scenario, just so that we don't get any other card effects. So here we can activate the effect of the Cartesia Diffuse using these two to go up into the copy of the Granganol. Granganol will then activate the effect, dumping the copy of the Albion to the graveyard. And then this is going to be it for us for the main phase. We're going to move on to the end phase here. So we're going to go end phase effect. We're going to be seeing the effect of Cartesia add itself back to the hand. We're going to then also activate the effect of the Titaniclad, being able to summon a copy of the Quem. Quem is going to activate the effect, dumping another copy of the Albaz to the graveyard. This can be any other card if you already have an Albaz in the graveyard. You know, if they sent the copy of the Nightmare. But in this case, we want to do it this way, just so we have a target for branded in red and also a Quem to summon back out later. And then we're going to activate the effect of the Albion, going to be able to set a copy of the branded in red. So now we pass to our opponent's turn, and then they do stuff. We have a branded red here, which can target the copy of Albaz, using itself, the Cartesia, and the Granganol to manage to go up into a copy of the Guardian Chimera. Letting us have essentially here a draw one, or draw two, pop one. Also have the effect of the Quem, summon back with the copy of Albaz. Activating the effect, we did draw two cards here and pop one card, discarding one card, essentially fuse with our opponent's card here to make a copy of the Mirror Jade. Or if they have a light or dark, depending on what you're going to go to, you can go for the Albion, which can go up into the copy of the Mirror Jade by banishing, or going for Lubellium, discarding the other card in the hand. You guys get the deal. So there's different variations that we can do with this combo, letting us have different access to it. But like this is going to be essentially full combo anyways, by allowing us to summon back out the copy of the Albaz whenever they go into the extra deck, to go for a copy of the Lubellion, and then go for the Guardian Chimera later on in that turn if we need to. But there's different variations that we can do. I just wanted to show you guys the power of the High Spirits alongside the copy of the Albion. And then here for the last combo, it's going to be a branded opening and a Tragedy with one card being a discard. If it's a copy of the Albion or a copy of Albaz, it's going to be obviously better. We're going to pretend it's just going to be a blank here, and then it's just going to be perfectly fine. So I'll be explaining why. We're going to go draw phase here, activating the effect of opening, send the copy of the Tragedy, letting us summon out a copy of the Aluber. This is going to be so we can go Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, not be able to hit with the Ash Blossom on this. Now, obviously, they're not going to want to do it. We are playing this in the draw phase, therefore, it's going to let us dodge a copies of the Veilers, and the Droll Mopper, I guess, as well. But we're going to be able to search here for a copy of the Quem, and then a copy of the Brand Fusion. You can do this differently, summon with the copy of the Quem, and then search for the copy of Aluber, but it doesn't necessarily matter in this case. Then you can go to the main phase, where just normal summon with the copy of the Quem, activate the effect, up in the copy of Cartesia. This is so we can, when we play the Brand Fusion, we can actually send the copy of the Albaz and the Lubellion and summon this back out, giving us that combo once again. So here we're going to activate the copy of Brand Fusion. Hopefully it does resolve, because sending both of these here to the graveyard, and that's going to let us go for the copy of the Albion in the main monster zone here. And you want to summon the copy of Mirror Jade to the extra deck, but we'll be doing that in a second. Then we're going to go effect of the Albion, banishing the copy of the Aluber and the copy of the Albaz in the graveyard to go up into the copy of the Lubellion. Lubellion is going to be discarding this card, and that's where, if it was a copy of Albaz, we'd get a definite buff. Now, once again, like if it was a copy of the Albion, you would have been able to discard the copy of the Albaz from the deck, then getting an additional draw here with that. But we're going to be sending the copy of a blank to pack the copy of the Albaz as well as the Lubellion to go up into the copy of the Mirror Jade. So now that we have this in the graveyard, we have an open game state. We're going to go, I guess I forgot the Quem effect. Quem is also going to summon with the copy of the Cartesia. That's kind of important. It does not matter exactly what step you do it at. You just want to be able to activate the effect to bring it back out. So here we're going to be tagging with the copy of the Lubellion for the Albion is going to come to the graveyard, summon with the copy of the Lubellion. Lubellion is going to activate the effect, placing the branded loss on the field. You can use the Cartesia with the copy of Lubellion on the field as well, the extra deck Lubellion, if you want to keep the body on the field and not get the search off lost, but we want to get that search off lost here. So we're going to activate the effect of the Cartesia, fusing the copy of Lubellion and the Cartesia to go up into the copy of the Granganol. Granganol as well as the Lost are going to activate, making us search for a copy of Game of Puppet. Search for the copy of Mercurier here, my bad, and dump the copy of Game of Puppet Nightmare. Now we can move on to the end phase. We're going to be able to go end phase effect of Albion, be able to set the copy of the Branded in Red. We're going to have Cartesia add back to hand, and then we're going to be able to just pass turn. Now, in this case, where we didn't have the Albaz in the graveyard, there is a line where you, instead of search for the copy of Mercurier, you want to search for the copy of the Albion, because Albion is going to activate the effect, send in the copy of the Albaz in the graveyard, so when you do have the Branded in Red, you'll be able to target the Albaz to go directly up into a Sanctifier. But in this case, you know, we had the Albaz in the graveyard, so we searched for the copy of the Mercurier. So stuff like that, where you have to be careful of what you have in the graveyard, like knowing what your resources that you're going to be using. Depending on what your hand is, the discards that you're going to be using is going to be very crucial. This deck does utilize the graveyard very, very importantly, almost like a second hand, if not even more powerful than the hand that you have. So we're going to be able to just go during your opponent's turn here. They do anything, we have a copy of Mirror Day which can send, which can then bring out the copy of, Quem can then bring out the copy of Albaz. You can activate the effect, fuse with it, with your opponent's cards. You have the copy of Mercurier. You have a copy of Branded in Red, which can also add the Albaz to the hand. And then fuse with the copy of the Cartesia to go up into the copy of the Sanctifier, and then once again Sanctifier is going to be able to activate in the copy of Lost to be able to let us search for a copy of the Mercurier here, or the copy of Albion, depending on which one we had in our hand, and we even Puppet Lock our opponent once again. So that's going to be kind of it for the combo video, just showing you guys different variations of the deck that you guys can play, different combos, and showing you guys off like the power of the hand, depending on what you guys want to do. Different end boards as well. You know, a lot of cards let you get to Brand Infusion, which is why it's okay that it is at 1. You know, honestly, this deck is super powerful still, very crazy. I think that since we have Granganol and Aluber still at 3, I guess Granganol being at 2 is kind of the important part here. But being able to dump from the extra deck or from the deck with this card just helps you out significantly with Cartesia, being able to summon out and dodging the copies of Valor and Imperm, which is just like very important hand traps this format. Regardless, hope you're watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and more content like this. Stay safe. Peace.